A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be ranking each and every move that your Philadelphia 76ers made this offseason, heading into the 21-22 campaign countdown style. Another season, another year, hoping that the Sixers will get over the playoff hump. Happy 1 year cycle, everybody. We have made it to a new season for new content. It was only about 10 months ago when I made my first offseason Sixers recap video, which no doubt got my channel its first major buzz. So shout out to y'all who have been rocking with me since that time. Sub a brother up for more unique Sixers content because you know what we do here. About to be at 1K subs. So a little bit of ground rules before we begin. What I did to rank these offseason moves, I judged them based off of two factors. The first is importance to the overall team's championship aspirations this season. The second factor was shock value, essentially what surprised me the most. Both were on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least important / most expected move, and 5 being the most shocking / most important move. So starting off at 6, the 2021 76ers draft. This draft was pretty much meh, in my opinion. If you watched my other video leading up to draft day, you know that I wanted the Sixers to trade their picks to get a veteran or veteran players who can fill roles at the moment, largely based off the fact that we do not have time to develop young talent when we have championship aspirations. Instead, Daryl Morey and company didn't listen to my YouTube video. We drafted Jerry Springer from Tennessee at 28, Philip Putrusev, who is currently playing in the European leagues by way of Gonzaga University, at 49, and Charles Bassey at 53, spending money to obtain his draft pick. Overall, I just don't see the need of drafting a raw product at 28 when you are in the midst of a championship window. Plus, unless Ben gets traded, whose spot is he going to take in our guard rotation? I really feel like we wasted our time. I don't think the opportunity cost was there for us to be picking in the first round. Now, in terms of our 2 second-round picks, I like them. I more so like Putrusev than Bassey. Bassey kind of reminds me of a poor man's Rashawn Holmes. And Philip, obviously, he needs to gain some more weight. The offense should get there. I just like European bigs, and the Sixers haven't had one since our guy Dario got traded. Next up, number 5, the Sixers signing Georges Niang to a 2-year, $6.7 million deal. Now, Niang is a stretch 4 who is bringing his services from the Utah Jazz last season, where he averaged 6.9 points on 42% three-point shooting, attempting 4.1 threes a game. Nothing too earth-shattering here. He is a slight upgrade. Any uptick in those stats and it's gravy for the Sixers. I'm a friend of the Across the Pond podcast. I asked them, because one of the guys there, he is a huge Jazz fan. I wanted to see what he thought of Niang's game and what he can bring to the Sixers. Niang can either be on it and be amazing, or he falls flat. He lacks consistency, but that may just come from not having regular minutes. I will be interested to see how he does in Philadelphia. So it sounds like he is the typical Sixer, boy who can score, who has the potential of being great, but he lacks consistency. Great. Number 4, re-signing Furkan Korkmaz to a 3-year, $15 million deal. Now, I wasn't too sure if we were going to be able to keep Furkan due to the money I thought he'd command on the actual market, but it all worked out. Not going to lie, it kind of seemed like he took a hometown discount. I assumed if he were to sign a 3-year deal, it was going to be for more than 15 mil, probably 20. It seems like Furkan wanted to stay in a system where he is comfortable, knows his role. Furkan might just be going the long route to finesse the NBA, stay within his homegrown team, continue to build upon the skills he has learned to be able to 3 years down the road, right, cash out with a bigger contract. We have seen him improve each year, making haters believers in the process. The reason why this signing is so important is simple. Furkan is a shooter, a cheap shooter at that, and don't forget the potential ball handling upside that he brings. The man has game-winning buzzer beater shots. Not everyone can do that. So all he needs to do is become more consistent with his overall game and also hit all 3 of his free throws when he gets fouled beyond the arc. the third most important move of this offseason. Joel Embiid re-upping his contract with the team, signing a 4-year Supermax deal worth $196 million smackaroons. Now, is it just me, or is that price number lower than what stars of his caliber usually get? It seems like Bulls be getting more money than Joel typically. Maybe that's because of it's only 4 years, or maybe because that's due to his injury history or his injury potential. Not saying that 196 million is, chump change, because I wish I had that, especially for my student loans. I didn't know that Joel was even eligible for a Supermax deal until news came out during the off season. Like, during the season, it wasn't really a talking point or a sticking point with the media. I'm not surprised at all that, one, he re-signed, or two, the Sixers re-signed him themselves, even with his injury potential going forward. Because let's be honest, you have no choice. If you are the 76ers, you have to offer this man the world based off of what he means historically and contextually the last 5 or so seasons. Most importantly, the last 2 to 3 seasons. It was a no-brainer. Embiid is a killer mentality away from becoming the elite of the elite. 4 more years of the process. Joel will be 32 years old when the deal runs out, so we essentially have 4 years to win a championship, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it done. Getting close to the end, the second most important Philadelphia 76ers offseason move this year was the Andre Drummond 1-year, $2 million deal. Though I had no idea that Drummond's name was on the Sixers' radar, I assumed we needed to get a big name to replace Dwight. You can't have Dwight freaking Howard as your backup center and then next year revert to some bum. That's not a good look, no matter how you cut it. It just doesn't make sense, especially when we know for a fact that Joel Embiid needs a competent, not even just Joel, but the 76ers need a competent backup big to keep the game flowing when Joel isn't playing. That's why this pickup was so important in the grand scheme of things. We all know what happens to the Sixers offense during past seasons when Joel sat, and a lot of that had to do with the backup skill level being far less superior. Looking at Drummond himself, I would say for what the Sixers want to do as a team, which is score more, he's a definite upgrade over Howard. And even though I have called Drummond overrated in past videos, and I still think he is as a starter, his rebounding and putback points cannot be ignored. He was top 10 in points last year, at the 10th spot and 4th in rebounds. You would assume that him playing less minutes on the Sixers roster would keep him fresher and a better overall player when he does play. Drummond will also be inserted into the starting lineup when Joel is out, like a certain trader. And the number one most important signing of the off season, or just move in general, for our Philadelphia 76ers was signing Mr. Danny Green, Mr. Danny 3 Rings Green, for 2 years, $20 million. Now, I would just like to point out that I called this deal on the dot. It is more for the stepping stone of us becoming ultimately champions somewhere down the road, hopefully. In terms of contract, maybe it'll be somewhere where around 2 years, $20 million. 2 years, $20 million. This was the most important offseason move this year because it kept Green's presence, his veteran presence that is, in the locker room. It is painfully clear that this team is mentally fragile and need a glue veteran guy to get them through tough moments. It also doesn't hurt that he shoots 40% from behind the arc. Danny keeps stability for a team that desperately needs consistency. When it was announced that the Sixers were nowhere close near a deal with Mr. 3 Rings, I was kind of scared, not going to lie, especially to the point where Bulls was saying that many of our rivals was looking at him, trying to, scoop him up. Imagine if the Bucks or Nets signed Danny. It was a wrap. If Green doesn't go down during the playoffs, we probably do not lose to the Hawks. And that's not an excuse on the team, because Danny Green or not, we should not be losing to Trae Young. But make no mistake, you have to understand, you have to see. We all know that Danny Green impacted the team in a psychological sense more than anyone can imagine. How can you not love this man? And before we get out of here, one last piece. Other notes on the Sixers offseason. We waived George Hill, which was a complete waste of time. We also waived Rajon Tucker and the Ball Anthony Tolliver. The Sixers are now linked to 2 free agent veteran pieces. The first one being Paul Millsap, and the second one being Rajon Rondo. Forget Millsap, give me Rajon Rondo. Because I'm tired of this kitty cat mentality that the Sixers have. Yo, we need vets to whip them into shape. I want to thank everybody for pulling up and listening to a brother think. Like, comment, share, subscribe with the Sixers Fiend if you feel so inclined. How do you like my list? What would you change? Let me know in the comments. As always, them Bulls are mad because the process still continues. My name is Kain, and I will see you next time. Peace.